How has Othello been reconceptualized for a modern audience? Today we'll explain how Othello is being changed by comparing the text and film directed by Jeffrey Sachs. Danny, Chadri and I will explain the techniques used through Othello and how they've been added to the film. We'll also go into depth and why the text featured lyra techniques. The film used a variety of techniques such as soliloquies and camera angles. There are multiple scenes where these techniques are easily shown. There are also literary techniques in this text such as emotive language and descriptive text with the film. And the text we are going to compare and contrast different techniques used and how useful they are in captivating the audience. We'll now show you in depth the techniques used and how they compare to each other.
William Shakespeare in his play Othello emphasizes on many themes, one of which being the theme of racial prejudice, which was relevant to his folk. The significance and importance behind this play is immense, as William used this play to chronicle the racial and political tensions between Europeans and non-Europeans during the 17th century, which was evidently shown by the whole setting of the play. To lay forward the theme of racial prejudice, William framed Othello as a high-rank military officer, which was highly uncommon and disliked at the time of writing this play. Racism was very common and not conveyed as a sin. The play has acts which are extremely relevant to the viewers of the past. However, in our day and age, these acts are disliked and even illegal. By using various literary techniques and devices, Shakespeare crafts Othello in a way that represents racial prejudice. Shakespeare implements various writing techniques in his plays such as animal imagery, allusions, black and white imagery, and figurative language. These techniques were specifically crafted for the audiences of the past. The use of techniques in a play is important in communicating complex ideas. They can help people understand, they can serve to simplify. Themes such as animal imagery is used when Iago says, "Your daughter covered with a Barbary horse," which also portrays the theme of racial prejudice. Allusions, which are a reference to other texts, were also implemented in the play, as in Act 1 Iago says, "I am not what I am," which is seen to be a parody of God's description of himself in Exodus, "I am what I am." Therefore suggests Iago is opposite to God. Black and white imagery was also used when Barbancho is informed of his daughter's escape, as Iago says Barbancho, a maid, so tender, fair, and happy, run to the sturdy bosom of such a thing as thou, which shows disbelief that beautiful Desdemona could love a black man. The use of these clever, intuitive techniques present the complexity and superiority of William Shakespeare. An example of his brilliant techniques is imagery, which is seen in no scarcity in his play. Religious imagery is implemented as the ideas of sin and forgiveness are really important in Othello, and this language is tied into images of light and dark and white and black. Desdemona, for example, is described as fair and heavenly, with Emilia telling Othello, "Oh, the more angel she, and you the blacker devil," when he admits to murdering his wife, and Othello is shown as a black devil, which is signified as evil due to his skin color. Some very evident yet still significant techniques, such as similes, soliloquy, and dramatic irony, were also integrated in the play. These techniques and features build up the masterpiece that is Othello. The importance of the audience is vital in this play, as race is not the core of Shakespeare's play. However, it has a central role in shaping the behavior of the characters and plot of the drama. The majority of Elizabethan audience would have disliked Othello instantly when they found out his skin color. This would have been because people in Elizabethan era were considered as deviant races. The language Iago uses is very strong and abusive. He calls Othello the devil. To an Elizabethan audience, this would have been extremely relevant to their perception of black people. The negative opinions about Othello were biased during the olden era due to their hatred and racial prejudice against black people. However, due to the presence of Desdemona, another perspective was formed upon Othello, as she was presented with two views: one of utter disgust that she married a black man, and the other having sympathy that she would have been a victim of magic. The audience expects Othello to be a mean and vicious man, but this is not the case. He is confronted with violence, but dismisses it powerfully and with honor. This view of Othello is contradictory to the beliefs of majority of the people hold back against black people. Due to everybody being an individual, I could only stereotype the people of that era. My opinions and perceptions might differ from the insignificant majority.
In today's society, no one is really interested in reading a play written by Shakespeare, and not many will be able to understand or comprehend it. Jeffrey Sachs, a movie director, directed an adaptation of Othello which discusses human issues in a reconceptualized version for new audiences. By creating an adaptation in the form of a film, he's able to emphasize the theme of racial prejudice by interpreting the views of modern society and developing a form of the original text that is easily understandable and aesthetically pleasing to the audience. Racial prejudice is currently a leading subject that controls modern day social media. Jeffrey Sachs, and his ability to understand the situation, uses as a chance to implement this issue into his film to further raise awareness worldwide. I'm sure you all know the current movement Black Lives Matter. This movement happened last year, 2020. But did you know in the film Othello, there was a scene that is almost an exact replica of the protest happening despite being made in 2001? It reveals to the audience that racial prejudice has always been happening, since the creation of the original play, to the adaptation of the play, all the way to today's society. The plot and conclusion of Othello makes us emphasize with the main protagonist, Othello, and makes us understand that his efforts to stand up to the black community ended up as a failure, a disgrace that led to shame. By creating an adaptation of the play, the new audience will be able to easily empathize with Othello's intentions much compared to the play, which helped raise awareness of the important human issue that has been reconceptualized. Jeffrey Sachs implements a variety of visual techniques in his film, including different camera angles, changes in background, use of sound effects, and also included the use of soliloquy. But what do these techniques do? What impact does it have when addressing human issues for new audiences? Techniques are a powerful tool that amplifies the meaning of a scene and visualizes an idea into one's mind. This gives them the opportunity to collect their own perception of the scene for further understanding. These techniques are implemented into the movie to provide an audience with an understanding of human issues by creating an atmosphere that represents the seriousness of the issue. In Othello 2001, there was a scene where Ben Iago, the main antagonist of the film, furiously expresses his thoughts directly to the audience. The scene includes multiple camera angles constantly changing, quick sudden background noises, the use of a busy indoor setting, and the implementation of soliloquy. Iago refers of Othello as a stupid, patronizing ape to Muzran, which reveals to us, the viewing audience, that Iago, after being betrayed, now visualizes Othello, a black male, as one who faces kindness and gratitude to reach a feeling of dominance like a desperate figure. Racially, he is referring to those of colour as desperate apes who would try to do anything to get to above people like Iago. The reference may have been viewed as a hidden racial line, but was emphasized with the techniques as listed previously. The build-up in the background noise increased the harsh tension of the scene, and the camera angles grasped the attention of the audience to ensure that there was recognition of racial prejudice. A strong factor Jeffrey Sachs implemented, which also hinted at another human issue, is the setting of the rent Iago was in. The setting of a busy office with people moving around reveals to the audience that Iago, ranting about Othello, who is indifferent to his surroundings, justifies how angry he is that a black male has taken his role, making him more superior than Iago. Yes, this emphasizes the anger towards black community from Iago, but it also depicts the fact that people in modern society are seemingly unaware of their surroundings, as they are solely focused on only the events that interest them. Jeffrey Sachs further reconceptualized the play Othello into a modern film by changing the conclusion of the narrative, which supported the demonstration of racial prejudice. In the written play by Shakespeare, it ends with the capture of Iago, where his plans failed despite being able to achieve the death of Cassio and Othello. The ending scene does have racial intentions, as it proves their opinion of a man of colour being easily manipulated is true, but eases the tension by having the antagonist, a white male, to also be captured and lose what he aimed for. The ending would have had a low impact on the audience in the period, as there's only an adequate amount of support for the black community. In contrast to this, modern society strives to create a movement for the black community. The 2001 adaptation of the play implements an ending where Ben Iago, despite how selfish and unfair he was deemed victorious, getting the role of commissioner and getting rid of Othello. The scene provides a more powerful effect on racial prejudice, as it puts emphasis on how easily manipulative Othello was when compared to the play. This is as Iago was never caught, which hints that the plan of a white man will always be successful when placed against a black man. By directing a more meaningful scene, Jeffrey Sachs' intention of raising more awareness of racial prejudice is highlighted to the audience, as it makes the message more clear for the audience to understand and sympathize with the current issue that the black community was and is still facing throughout time.
In conclusion, the film by Jeffrey Sachs was adapted very well to modern society, helping intrigue modern audiences. The text Othello by William Shakespeare was made to fit society at the time. This was by implementing various writing techniques in his plays such as animal imagery, allusions, black and white imagery, and figurative language. The remake of Othello into a film helped show modern audiences what Shakespeare was trying to show in his writing. Jeffrey Sachs showed Shakespeare's intentions in regards to Othello's character by listing the use of visual techniques such as camera angles, sound effects, setting change, and soliloquy. Jeffrey Sachs positively impacted Othello, making the film modernized and interesting to the audience, also through his creation of unique, significant characters and a change in the plot that suited modern audiences more. Overall, racial prejudice has been reconceptualized from the play to the film to further allow a better connection between the audience and the narrative.